Gallagher. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you all for appearing today. When we were investigating over the last 2 years, 2.5 years actually, the abuses of casual black coal miners in the Hunter Valley, we noted that there were thousands of casuals working for the Australian Public Service with hundreds of millions of dollars being paid to labour hire firms. Why does the Public Service do this?
So, could you just put that question to me again, Senator? I didn't quite understand. You're talking about sort of why we employ casual hire.
Casuals, and in particular, we know that some people prefer to work casual, so I've got nothing against casual. Yep. And we know that casuals fulfil a basic primary, secondary role within any workplace, fluctuating workload, someone going on leave, projects, etc. But why does the Public Service use so many labour hire firms to employ these casuals?
Yeah, it's for agency heads to determine how they construct their workforce. The Public Service Act sets out that the normal method of engagement is full-time ongoing employment as a public servant, but there are provisions in the Public Service Act for non-ongoing and other aspects. So it's very much for each individual agency head, Senator, to work out what is the appropriate mix of their workforce. Obviously, if it's work that fluctuates, then it's quite appropriate for them to use labour hire and casuals to manage those fluctuations. But again, as I say, it's a matter for each individual agency head. They're the accountable authority. They have responsibility for delivering for the government and the Australian community, and it's for them to work out their proper mix.
So, Australian Public Service Commission, I imagine you'd be interested in efficiency, cost effectiveness, and employees' conditions?
Obviously, we're intimately involved in many of those aspects, but in terms of running that agency, running the duties or obligations that they're committed to undertake, it's for them to do that.
Oh, I get that point. How many casuals are currently employed across the Australian Public Service?
I think
hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands.
Nicole Steele, I think it's 87% is ongoing. But Mr. Nicole Steele have the data.
Nicole Steele, Acting Assistant Commissioner, Strategic Policy and Research Group. Yes, that's correct. In terms of casuals, in the last year, we have at the moment 8,696 casuals. That's an increase of 51 since December 2020.
Thank you. How many of those would you know are casuals in their own right employed directly by the Australian Public Service, and how many are labour hire subcontractors or labour hire firms?
I do not know that. I do know that those who are employed for a specific term or task is a further 10,816.
In addition to
the casuals. So there's two types of non-ongoing. One is casual, and one you can be engaged for a specific term or task.
And that would be contractors, labour hire.
Correct.
Fixed term, yeah.
Correct.
Thank you. How many casuals have been employed in the Australian Public Service for more than 6 months?
Oh, I'm not sure, to be honest. It was 10,000.
I would have to take that on notice.
Okay, could you? And could you also provide a de-identified report, making the no names on there, no anonymous employees, report by department, by labour hire company, or direct employment by cost and duration of service?
We don't collect that information about labour hire firms or companies. We only collect the number of casuals by agency.
Okay. This one you probably have to take on notice too, Ms. Steele. How many casuals, internal or labour hire, have converted from casual to permanent employment in the Australian Public Service in the past 12 months?
Yeah, I will take that on notice.
Thank you. Are casuals that the Australian Public Service has engaged through labour hire companies able to convert to the public service roles that they have been working in for more than 6 months?
No.
No. Okay, thank you.
I just looked at responses.
So, if someone's been engaged for more than 6 months, it would seem that they're needed. So why wouldn't they be eligible? because the employer is not the public service?
1 second.
Senator Marco Spacavento, Assistant Commissioner of Workplace Relations. I think it's important to draw a distinction there between a casual employee and a labour hire employee. So a casual employee is an employee of the Australian Public Service and is eligible to convert to full-time or permanent employment, I should say, if they meet the criteria laid out in the Fair Work Act and the Public Service Act. A labour hire employee is an employee of an entirely different company, not of the public service. A labour hire employee would not be eligible to convert to permanent employment.
Do you see some inconsistency there?
No, Senator, because in one instance the employee is a direct employee of the Australian Public Service, directly engaged by an agency. So it's a contract of service versus a contract for service.
No, I understand that. We've seen the abuse of coal miners, for example, and we've seen hints of abuse in other sectors as well, of casual workers, lost their entitlements, basic safety provisions, significant pay cuts. And it seems to me that it's just a naked attempt to go around the provisions of the Fair Work Act.
Senator, casual employees in the Australian Public Service are engaged under the terms and conditions of agency enterprise agreements, so they receive essentially the same terms and conditions as permanent employees. I say essentially because there's some leave entitlements they don't get and there's a casual loading. Labour hire employees are obviously different because they are employees of different organisation. But then there's a range of reasons why agencies would engage labour hire firms, and that would sort of be a decision for that agency head to make.
In the course of our investigations in the Hunter Valley and Central Queensland and elsewhere, we found that Chandler Macleod, for example, Chandler Macleod Group, was paid around an estimated $2.4 billion over 4 years, providing labour hire contractors or labour hire employees to the Australian government. That seems pretty substantial to me.
Senator, I can't comment on decisions that agencies have made.
Are you aware if these casuals that are under labour hire firms are paid the same terms and conditions to workers in similar roles that they work beside?
Senator, we don't have visibility because it's outside of our remit, so we don't have visibility of what labour hire employees are paid or the conditions they're on. That would be it would be a matter of the employment arrangements they've made with the labour hire company of those employees. I couldn't say yes or no to that question because we don't have responsibility or visibility of it.
Yeah. So, Minister, this is an opinion, a request for an opinion. Do you think that's reasonable?
In terms of the decisions that heads of agencies make?
Well, the employment of people for more than 6 months by a labour hire firm could be a way of getting around the casual conversion, the requirement now to offer casual conversion.
I think, as the Commissioner outlined earlier, heads of agencies make decisions with regard to how they engage their workforce based on the needs at the time, and there are a range of circumstances that they obviously take into consideration, and I would have every faith in those heads of agencies that they are doing the right thing to ensure that the people they work for, the taxpayers of Australia, are getting the service that's required, and that their employees are being treated properly as well.
Well, with respect, that's a nice motherhood statement, but I've seen people who work for firms with reputable international and Australian reputations completely abusing workers in this country. And that's come as a big shock, and what compound that, neither the Labor Party, nor the Liberal Party, nor the National Party, nor state, nor federal government, nor the various bureaucrats have been interested in this. They've ignored requests to investigate.
If there are specific cases of abuse of employees, then there are appropriate channels to deal with those things, and I would encourage you or those you ask these questions on behalf of to take action, because that's the appropriate thing to do. But I don't think there's anyone around this table on that side or this side that would seek to endorse any abuse of employee or withdrawal or withholding of entitlements.
Well, it's remarkable, and I'm not accusing people of doing that in the public service. I'm trying to find out whether or not the government and the public service understand there is a potential for that. And we've seen that widely in other industries from so-called reputable firms. And so I've heard some stories about the public service hiring those $2.4 billion worth of labour hire firms, labour hire people over 4 years. That's a staggering figure.
And I appreciate you're not making an accusation, and certainly that you're highlighting that your point is there could be potential, or you're trying to seek an understanding of whether there is. But if there is a single case of this abuse, then I would expect that it be raised and referred to the appropriate authorities and dealt with accordingly.
What doesn't give me confidence, and I accept what you're saying, what doesn't give me confidence is that some people in the Hunter Valley, for example, raised this repeatedly over a course of about 5 years and got nowhere, neither from the state nor federal government, with blatant breaches of the law. And so I'm just trying to understand if the public service knows that this could be going on and what they're doing to protect not only workers who work for them permanently, casually, directly, but also those who work indirectly through labour hire firms, because not all labour hire firms are ethical.
Senator, I'm not aware of the particular issues that you're raising,
Okay.
but obviously if you have concerns, please take them up with the relevant minister or with his department in relation to the way they manage
I'm just
their
trying to find
affairs.
out whether or not you're aware of the potential.
I'm not aware of any of the particular concerns you're raising, Senator.
Or the potential for that. Are you aware that casual workers that are employed either directly or through labour hire firms have less job security and find it harder, for example, to get home loans? Because one of the requirements is for a home loan a secure permanent job.
Am I aware of that? Again, it's not an issue that's been brought to my attention.
So you're not aware, okay. So these workers who are working for the public service for more than 6 months miss out on the terms and conditions of government employment. Is that reasonable?
You've
Is that
asked me
fair?
an
Yep.
opinion. You've asked me an opinion there.
Well, I'll ask the Minister.
Look, the decisions made by heads of agency around how they engage their workforce, either in the way you've characterised or other ways, I think, as the Commissioner has outlined, is a matter for them based on the needs of the community they serve and the work that they do. In terms of, I personally would love to ensure that everyone gets everything they're entitled to, and I have every expectation that those who are engaged under whatever contractual arrangement they are, those contracts are in alignment with the law and done in accordance with what is legally required of the employing agency. So, my hope is everyone gets what they deserve and nothing less.
Well, that's my hope too, but in the Hunter Valley for a period of 7 years now, 5 years till we started working on it, there were people, many people, who were abused and they were told and exploited, and they were told to go and talk with the state department, workplace, work cover. They were told to take it up with the federal government, and nothing happened. And then we were actively misrepresented when we tried to do something about it. Eventually we prevailed on some areas and we're still working on others. So it could happen in the public service, and I'm just checking to make sure that the public service is aware of some of these things, that's all.
So I think you've brought this concern you have to the Commissioner's attention, and certainly the Minister I'm representing will be aware of your concerns. Again, if there's a specific instance or a series of them, we should deal with them in the appropriate forum.
So one final question, Chair. What margin is paid to labour hire firms when you engage a casual through them? Because now I'm putting on my other hat. Instead of protecting constituents, I'm protecting taxpayers who are also constituents. How much? What's the margin?
Look, I'm not sure we don't collect data on that, Senator, so I really can't answer that question. It'd be a matter for each particular agency head in terms of their arrangements they have, but we don't collect data on that issue.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.